Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you all are doing well. For today's video, I wanted to share with you guys a makeup tutorial on this pastel look that I have on my face right now. Now, pastels are really hot and trending, and a lot of you guys always ask me how to make pastels work for Indian skin tone because pastels aren't meant for Indian skin tones. And I do have a secret tip by which you can make pastels work for your skin tone, and that is in believing that any color is meant for your skin tone. Particular colors being meant for particular skin tone is such a man-made idea. Colors don't discriminate, and as long as you believe you can pull anything off, you will be able to pull off. Of course, there are going to be some tips and techniques that would help you in just making sure that you're able to pull it off, and that's exactly what I'm going to be sharing in this particular video. So yes, if you want to know how I got this look, this pastel beautiful look, then please keep on watching. I'm going to start off by doing my base. Now, when you're playing with pastel colors, it's really important that there is no darkness underneath your eyes because it really does not give you a fair idea of how the pastel colors would look. And if you're doing your eyeshadow before you do your base makeup, there would be a darkness underneath your eye and you might add or subtract color that you don't ideally want to do. So I'm going to start off by prepping my skin. I'm going to use my PAC Makeup Moisture Lotion and I'm almost about to run out of it. So happy that this is going to be soon going into my empties. So I'm just going to scoop out a little bit of this makeup moisture lotion and I'm going to apply it all over my face. I'm also going to prep up my lips right now, so by the time we move on to the lipstick, my lips are nice, soft and supple. So I'm using my Vaadi Herbals lip balm. This is the blueberry variant. I love this lip balm. Don't sleep on it. It's so inexpensive and so good. So I'm just going to apply a little bit of that lip balm all over my lips. It does have a blue tint, but because we are going to be covering it up with lipstick, it doesn't really matter. I'm also going to prime my skin today. I want to go all out. It's been so long since we've done a makeup tutorial, so why not? I'm going to be using my NYX Honey Dew Me Up. I love the primer, not the packaging so much. I feel like it reminds me of the glue that we used to have in school. But overall, I really like this product, so I'm just going to take a little bit of that primer. And it's a little stringy. It literally looks and feels like honey. And I'm just gonna apply it all over my face. As you can see, it's stringing up, but once you massage it into your skin, it just gives your skin a really nice and hydrated feel, and it also gives your skin a little bit of glow. I'm going to give my skin about 20 to 30 seconds for it to absorb the primer so that it's ready for foundation application. For my foundation, I'm going to be using my Maybelline Superstay foundation again, something that I'm about to empty up. I think like this video is like a preview to my empties video because a lot of stuff that I'm going to be using in this video are things that I'm going to be emptying out soon. But I am just going to dot this foundation all over my face using the stick of the foundation. And because this is a pretty full coverage foundation, I'm not going to use a lot. Again, with pastel eyes, I feel it's important that your skin has good coverage going on because pastels need their own attention, and if there are things that are going on your face, which by the way, it really does not matter that much. If you just feel comfortable in your skin that way, you can definitely do that. But because this is a makeup tutorial, I just want to go, the extra mile. So as I was saying, if there are other distractions like pigmentation or acne scarring, it can take away from the eyes. So I like to have like an even coverage on my face so that my eyes can really stand out. I am just going to buff my foundation out, and I'm using a brush from PAC which comes in their face collection kit. It's essentially just a flat top brush. You can get this out of a brush from PAC individually as well. PAC has a lot of foundation brushes and I mostly like all of them, but this does not have any angle or anything to it. It's a very nice and dense brush, so it just works really fabulously with full coverage foundations. So I'm just going to be buffing all of this out, and as you can see in real time, it's really easy to blend and buff with this brush. Now the thing is, I match my foundations to my neck, and my neck is super sensitive, so I generally don't prefer going down my neck. If you have a lot of unevenness going on, you can definitely go down your neck, or if you just want to match things up slightly better, you can go down your neck. For me personally, that would end up in a lot of rashes, so I prefer not to. Now that my foundation is done, I'm going to move on to my concealer. I'm going to be using my NYX Can't Stop Won't Stop concealer, another full coverage product, but I'm not going to use a lot of it. The key to not looking cakey with full coverage products is using very little quantities of this, and this is in the shade True Beige. It does have a little bit of yellow undertones in them, so it would easily cancel out my darkness and my dark circles. I just like to apply a little bit on my inner corners and then on my outer corners. I'm just going to repeat the same on the other side, a little bit on the inner corner, then on the outer corner. And then I also like to just highlight the centers of my face. On my upper lip, I do like to go a little all over because I do have like that greenish moustache area like most women do. So I like to cover that up a little bit on the corners of my nose. I have just dipped into this twice, not more than that. And I'm going to blend it out using my PAC Spotlight SL02 brush. So I'm just going to dab this into place. Again, the key to getting the most out of your concealer is not to move it like that. Just dab it. So I'm just dabbing it, as you can see. I'm not rubbing the brush like this, but just dabbing it onto my skin. And if you feel like there are areas that are not properly blended, you can always just go back in with your foundation brush and just, soften up the edges a little bit. The first thing that I'm going to do is making sure that all of the areas are nicely dabbed out at least, so that I can go ahead and finish with my foundation brush later on. The motive right now is to make sure that the concealer doesn't dry down in place and is not more difficult to blend out. So I'm just, as I said, dabbing. I've said dabbing a lot in this segment of the video, but you gotta dab it out. So I'm just pressing the product down and ensuring that it's nicely spread out. Once it comes to my eyes, now I have not applied any foundation on my lid area, and I'm also not going to apply any concealer on my lid area because I'm going to apply an eyeshadow primer on my lid area. But I am going to cover my inner corners. So I am going to go a little bit right here just underneath the starting point of my brow, because that's generally the darkest area for anyone, and I want to ensure that my concealer is there so that there is no darkness over there. Again, I'm just making sure I dab all of this into place, and I'm not moving it a lot. And then I'm going to start blending out the concealer on my outer corner. Now, this is still not blended out because what I'm going to do is, with whatever's left on my brush right now, I'm going to cover my remaining under eye. Okay, so I'm going to cover my remaining under eye, and then I'm going to take whatever's remaining just down the side of my nose. So that's what we are doing. And again, just repeat on the other side. Take it in your inner corner towards the starting point of your brow. Going back in with my foundation brush, I'm just going to soften up the edges. I'm going to go all over my concealed area so that it's nicely blended into the foundation and there are no harsh edges. I want all of this to be seamless. I want my base to be flawless, and this just really helps in achieving that. The last thing I'm going to do for my base is to set into place. We're going to do our blush, contour and highlight later on depending on how our eyeshadow is. So I'm going to be using my K-Beauty Compact. I've been really enjoying this, and this is in the shade 110, and I just really like how it's very softly milled and it's not overly drying or powdery at all. So I'm just going to dust it under my eyes, and I'm going to use my NYX 02 brush. I'm picking up a little bit of it. There is a lot of kickback in the pan, but I don't mind that as long as the product is good. So I'm just gonna be pressing this product down into my skin. Now, I only like to set my under eyes and around my mouth area. If you are from the oily skin family, feel free to set the rest of your face, or feel free to use a translucent powder like a loose powder so that it's more absorbent, because compacts are generally lesser absorbent than a loose powder is. But because I'm from the dry skin type and it's currently winters, I really don't even need powder, to be honest, but it's just the creasing that gets a little bit delayed with the help of a powder. So I'm just making sure that my face does not look powdery and it's all nice and set. We're up close and personal now because I'm going to start off with my eyes. The first thing I'm going to do are my brows, and I'm going to be using my Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Wiz. Now, I have just started using this and I'm not too sure about my opinion yet. But to formulate an opinion, I need to use it and try it out. So I'm using my spoolie first just to brush out my hair and make sure that there are no knots or tangles in my hair. And then I'm going to take the pencil side of it. It's very thin, very comparable to the NYX Micro Brow that I so dearly love. And I'm just going to start creating hair strokes in my brow. I'm going to go slightly lighter with my brow today because, again, I want my eyeshadow to stand out, and for that I need to give my eyeshadow the appropriate attention it requires, and I need to put my brows in the back end of things, because if you have too strong of an eyebrow game going on, then it can literally overshadow your eyeshadow. So I am just going to be, creating flicking motions and making sure that my brows look full but not supremely like snatched. Next up is a step that again is something that I've recently started trying out. I'm going to be using Indulgeo's Brow Bro. Now what this is basically an eyebrow soap, and I'm just going to be using this. Now they just tell you to use it with their waters. Now I do have a lot of their waters, but I'm just going to be a rebel and I'm going to use my Smashbox primer water because again I'm about to finish this off, so just quickening up the process. And I'm going to spritz this right into the product, not a lot, just 2 quick spritz. And then it does also come with its own spoolie, so I'm just gonna run the spoolie into the brow soap, and then I'm just gonna push my brows up like that just to get those soapy brows. Now I'm not the hugest fan of them on myself, but people look amazing in them. I'm also gonna just make sure that the hair are not too like that, like just a little, not too much, because that can look a little too much according to me on my face. To start off with my eyeshadows, I'm going to make sure I prime my lids first. I'm going to be using the NYX Eyeshadow Base in the shade Skin Tone. Now it does come in a white shade too, and a lot of people prefer using white underneath pastels for them to really pop. I do not prefer white. I find it a little too jarring. It does not blend out beautifully on my skin, and just it feels like it's still there. You can see it. Now this blends out on my skin beautifully. I know this is not the most inclusive skin tone shade out there, so if you can find an eyeshadow primer that matches to your skin, that would be the best thing to do. If you do have a lot of discoloration, I would suggest you color correct your eyes first so that the eyeshadow base can really make the eyeshadows pop. I'm going to be using a Bobbi brown cream shadow brush, and I am just going to be applying this primer all over my lid. Now because this does have a little bit of coverage, I'm also going to clean up my brows with this. Now I don't really set my base into place because I just feel like that works better with this eyeshadow base. If you have really oily lids and you just cannot do without setting your lids, then feel free to add powder on top of this. I'm gonna go straight away into my palette, which is the Mint Pastel Obsessions by Huda Beauty. Now there are not a lot of companies doing pastel eyeshadow palettes and not a lot of companies doing pastel eyeshadow palettes in India. I would like to see that scenario changed a little bit. I know that Colourpop is doing a lot of pastels, but again, it's not really available in India, and shipping Colourpop to India is a hassle. It's a hassle. Huda Beauty is doing them, and I do really like their formulations. I'm going to be using this palette today because it's a very pretty palette. It has some gorgeous colors, as you can see right here. So we are going to be using this shadow, the darkest shadow of the palette, and I'm picking it up with the NYX brush. It is like a shader fluffy brush. It's not the most fluffiest, but it still is slightly fluffy. I'm going to start by placing this in my crease, and I'm just patting this color into my crease to get the maximum intensity out of this eyeshadow. So I'm literally just going in a semicircle, as you can see, and patting this color down. I'm picking up this beautiful shade with the help of Cuffs and Lashes E006 brush, which is basically a pencil brush. And I'm going to start blending out the edges with the help of this brush, and I'm going in circular motions. It's really important that you use a tiny brush so that the color does not go all over the place. You want to blend the eyeshadow out but still just maintain its positioning. So I'm just blending this shadow out. Feel free to go back and forth with both the shadows if you want to just develop the intensity and you want to still make sure that the edges are blended out, because when you blend, you do tend to lose a lot of pigmentation. So you can just go back and forth with the darker and the lighter shadows. Once I'm happy with my blending, I'm going to move on to my lid shadow, and that's going to be this beautiful color. And I'm picking it up with the help of Cuffs and Lashes E004 brush, which is just a flat shader brush, a synthetic one, so that it can just deliver this color onto my lids. I'm going to press this color all over my lid, and I'm going to make sure I blend it into my crease. I'm going to apply the same deeper and the lighter blue on my lower lash line before highlighting my inner corners. I'm going to be using this shade to highlight my inner corners up, and I'm using a Morphe brush that came in a kit, so I don't really know its name. And I'm just making sure that my brush is nicely coated with that beautiful shade. I'm going to put that shade in my inner corners, and I'm just patting it down to get the maximum intensity out of the shade. And I'm also going to take it slightly on the lower lash line just to get a nice definition to my eye. I'm going to use my Smashbox Always On Liquid Liner and I'm going to create a feline inner corner, and I'm also going to extend it out into a very tiny wing. This would just give my eyes the extra edge that they require. So I'm just making a very tiny baby wing, and I'm also going to connect it to my lash line, keeping it rather thin. Moving on to mascara, I'm going to use Maybelline Volume Express Colossal Mascara, and I'm just going to be applying it to my top and bottom lashes. I'm going to start off by coating my top lashes, and once that's done, I'm going to move on to my bottom lashes. I've quickly stuck on some falsies and my eye look is done. I'm going to be replicating the same thing on the other eye, and I'll be right back. So I'm done with my eyes, so now let's just finish up our base. I'm going to start off by bronzing up my face, and I'm going to use my Huda bronzer. I love this stuff so much. I don't think that's a secret anymore, and I'm going to use the brush that comes with it. So I'm just going to pick up a little bit of that powder, and I'm going to start on the sides of my face. So I'm going to start right underneath my cheekbones, in the hollow of my cheekbone, and I'm going to push this color up into my hairline. And once I'm come in the front part, I'm just going to round it up just to get a nice soft definition on my face. Also going to apply it to my forehead just to bring some warmth over there. Then on my chin, just to cut my double chin off. And on my jawline, just again to give it a little bit of extra definition. And lastly, just going to touch up my nose just a tiny bit. I'm not the hugest fan of nose contouring, but these days I'm just doing it just to go with the flow of things. Moving on to blusher, I'm again going to use K-Beauty. They've been killing the game. They've been bringing out some really good launches, and I'm using the shade Soft Nude, which is a beautiful shade. The reason why I've chosen this particular shade is because I want again the focus to stay on the eyes, and I don't want the blush to be so overpowering. I'm using a Makeup Revolution brush. I don't think this is available any longer, but it's just a soft angled brush, and I'm just going to apply this on the apples of my cheeks and push this back into my contour. For my highlighter, I'm going to use my Kylighter from Kylie Cosmetics in the shade Fiji. Again, I've been just trying to finish this off, and I'm going to use my Sigma Powder Sweep brush, which is basically just a tinier brush, easy controlled brush, so as to say. So I'm just going to pick up a little bit of this powder because this is pretty potent, and I'm just going to apply it on the tops of my cheekbones right here. And you can always just build up if you feel like it's a little too subtle, but go small. It's not like go big or go home with this powder at least. So I'm just building up this highlighter to the brightness that I like, and I'm also going to take this right under my brow bone. So I'm going in that motion, so going from the apples of my cheeks towards my brow bone. Also going to apply it on the tip of my nose. Ooh, that's a little too bright. I'm going to mellow it down a little, and on the bridge of my nose, and then on my cupid's bow. I'm gonna give my face a quick little spray with my Smashbox primer water because I just want my skin to be nice and dewy and not powdery. I'm gonna ignore the eye area, so I'm just gonna literally cover it up and spritz it all over my face. To finish off the look with my lips, I'm going to use one of my favorite lip colors of all time. I'm talking about Pillow Talk by Charlotte Tilbury. I have talked about this so many times, it's not even funny. So I'm just going to be applying this all over my lips. It's a beautiful neutral color, so it would complement the eyes without overpowering them at all. So I'm just applying this and making sure that my lips are nicely covered up. And yes, with that I finished this tutorial. I hope you guys enjoyed this and found this video helpful. If you did, then don't forget to comment and subscribe. It would mean the absolute world to me. Also, let me know what other makeup tutorials you guys would like to see, and I would love to do them for you guys. I'll see you guys next time. Till then, take care. I love you all so much. Mwah. Bye.